we actually are women and we have ebbs and flows of energy.
I am in a man's world as much as I don't want to say that I am.
Women can have it all. We can have the business, we can have the career, we can invest, we can have the children, look after the house, look after your parents. There's just so much on our plate.
I was naive and I was scared.
We were navigating everything by ourselves. We didn't have a community. We didn't have anybody who was role modeling.
I don't believe Gen Z should work from home.
How we used to do business and invest before, it was exhausting.
Let's face it, if there's any industry that really promotes hustle, it's definitely the property industry, right?
Soft girl era.
That's the last thing I want to be called. I want to be called soft.
Why can't we be soft in how we do it and still be successful?
We all end up being like that. We're all banging our chests trying to be like, no, more. Let's just put it in. I need that deal. I need that property.
Get over it. Put in the work.
I don't want to regret living a life and all I did was on my gravestone it says I was a workaholic.
Welcome back to another episode of The Money Honey with me, your host, Rosalia Lazara Tilly. Now, today I am switching the roles. I'm reversing the roles because I've recently been on a podcast which was total vibes. It's still going on social media. I'm still tagged in posts here, there, and everywhere. So if you haven't seen it, please go and check it out. I'll reveal all what it is. But I've recently just been interviewed on their podcast, and we had such a great vibe, such a good energy that we've reversed the roles, and I've invited them back onto my show this time because I want to get to know them. They asked me such great questions, and I really felt like we had such a good time that I wanted to continue that conversation. So here they are with me today. And as always, I like to introduce the main topic, like the main theme of the day, because then you know what you're getting yourself into and what this show is all going to be about. Now, I have grown up in the hustle culture. I definitely felt like when I was growing, like from school to uni and from uni to transitioning into the workplace, as a millennial, so I'm a millennial, I felt like the hustle culture was how to show your worth, how to, the busier you are, the more successful you'll become. The busier you are, the more luck you'll create, and the more luck you'll create, the more opportunities you'll attract. So just to outline that, the kind of hustle that I got into, really briefly, because obviously today's not about me, but I just want to really give a highlight of like how much the hustle culture impacted me. So number one, it definitely opened up my mind that I wasn't just a 9-to-5 person. So one thing I am grateful for when it comes to the hustle culture is that actually I was never born to just work and be stuck at my desk working for someone else and just have a safe, secure job. So I'm grateful. What I'm really looking forward to explore today with my guests is like the pros and cons of hustling and the hustle culture, because I certainly feel like it opened up my entrepreneurial spirit from following that hustle culture. It made me read self-performance books, personal development, entrepreneurial books. And it gave me that fire in my belly to be a business owner. But on the flip side, obviously there is burnout and there is anxiety and there is pressure and there is worry, because you just never, like, when is it enough? Like, how much is enough? And I always get the comments from people like, oh my God, Roz, you just do so much. Like you're always there and everywhere. And I'm like, where are you then? I'm like, if I'm everywhere, like, what are you doing that how could you not use this abundance of time? Because I kind of took abundance to the extreme, because I was like, well, there's all these hours in a day, there's so much we could be doing with our time. What are you doing with your time then? So I became, and probably still am, maybe just super addicted to work because I love it. So I'm very, very much excited about exploring this new terminology that I've just been introduced to offline that I didn't know about. And that just goes to show how my algorithm isn't probably showing me this stuff, because that's not what I consume. So I'm really, really, without further ado, I want to introduce you to my guests today, who are absolutely killing it on social media. Like, I love their energy. Like, they know how to deliver their personality and their charisma through content. They've nailed that balance of personal branding with a mission, with a purpose, and how they're building their business with so much love and joy and entertainment. Like they're totally like just a real buzz. Like they're such a buzz. So when they asked me to be on their show, I was like, oh my God, I was going to ask you to be on. So anyway, here we are. And I couldn't host a Money Honey show without these total true Money Honeys called Ruth and Rebecca from Honest Property Sisters. So without further ado, welcome to the show, ladies. How are you today?
Oh, thank you so much. It's an absolute pleasure, and I love the intro.
Thank you. I'm going to unmute Ruth. Ruth, come on in, babe.
Hiya!
Hi. We have got them together, but not together today. They are always in action, always in motion. So thank you for taking the time for being here and for actually sitting down with me. I know these podcasts take a lot of time, so I really, truly appreciate you spending just half an hour with me and the guest today of the Money Honey Show, just to go through like who Honest Property Sisters are. Obviously, you're in the property world. We're talking about hustle culture today, and let's face it, if there's any industry that really promotes hustle, 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 it's definitely the property industry, right?
Yeah.
So tell me who you are and how you're doing things differently.
Hey, so we're Becky and Ruth. And if you don't follow us or anything yet, just a brief introduction. We are sisters who've been in property and business together over the last 12 years, and we have had our own host of experiences, bumps, and joys along the way. And I feel like we've come out the other side
Yeah.
at this point in our life, at this point in our journey, with a lot to share and a lot of knowledge that we wished we had at the beginning, that we are now sharing on social media together, once we finally picked up the courage to actually present ourselves to the world.
I'd like to follow
'Cause
on actually on
mm,
what Rosalia said is, you came into entrepreneurship in your 20s, is it? 20s?
So I was straight out of uni and I was about 23 maybe when I discovered
Mm.
yeah, I was about 23 when I discovered like The Secret, the book The Secret. I was like, oh, so I can do more than just this, right? And I was reading other entrepreneurial books, and we spoke about it on your show about like network marketing, and that's what inspired me to be a business owner. But it meant that I had to work full time by day and then in the evening. So that's the hustle culture
mm,
made me realize like if I wanted more out of life, I needed to do more, and I needed to put myself in different situations and in different rooms. I needed to surround myself by the people that were going to get me there. And
Yeah.
that was my entry into entrepreneurship. Yeah.
Yeah, because we came from our background, we came from a family of entrepreneurs, so we watched it our whole life. So our father was a very successful freelancer, cameraman who traveled the world, was living his dream, but we saw that burnout consistently throughout our childhood, that we saw that, oh, that's the only way to work. So this is why Becky and I are so passionate about, because we followed that cycle into our 20s, and now we're in our 30s. We're like, there is a better way. There must be a better way to be able to do business, invest like a woman, and not neglecting that we actually are women and we have ebbs and flows of energy, and are really honoring that in our 30s, because how we used to do business and invest before, like, it was
yeah.
exhausting, just
I
really
think just to
exhausting. Sorry, my name.
And just to follow on what you're saying before about how there's so much time in the day, you have to fill it with so much stuff. And I mean, we're just kind of
Guilty.
relearning that we don't have to do that. Like, that's the point of investing ultimately. We got into property investing because we realized, oh, you don't have to, by doing it, by learning how to do this, you don't have to keep exchanging your time for money.
Mm.
But it meant we're only just now really undoing or unlearning all, like, trying to be so busy all the time and just let go. Like, this is why we're doing what we're doing. We can take a step back now and just relax into our feminine a lot more. Because also, I think Ruth and I were discussing this earlier about how society says you're women can have it all. We can have the business, we can have the career, we can invest, we can have the children, look after the house, look after your parents. There's just so much on our
Responsibility.
plate, um, which is another reason why Ruth and I really believe that women were made to invest, because that means we're still able to be financially independent at the same time as having the time to thrive
Are feminine.
in things that in our feminine. Especially with Ruth as a mother, she needs a time to be able to be present for her son. And I think most parents can relate that it's very physically and time demanding. And well, we had a guest on I think we've mentioned her several times actually now recently, but one of our guests, was quite inspiring, and we truly believe she's done it all right. She started investing long before she met her partner, for the purpose of family planning, so that she can now be present for her son. And she planned this all before she even met her partner. She was like, I need to know how to have my time back, be financially independent, so that when the time does come in 10 years' time, I'm going to be able to be in my soft girl era,
Yeah.
and relax into it.
Yes, and there it is. If you missed it whilst you're listening, the soft girl era terminology has come up. So I'll take this opportunity to say, like, a quick thank you for everyone tuning in at this time right now. I always just kind of forget until the end. I'm like, oh yeah, thanks for listening, by the way, assuming you've made it. Like, just thank you here for being here. So do remember to subscribe and tune into this channel to catch up with other episodes as well. But we're now going to dive into this soft girl era that I'd never heard of before. I had to do a cheeky Google and I was like, what on earth is a soft girl? Because I thought that's the last thing I want to be called. I want to be called soft. So tell me, girls, like, I'm seeing a lot of like pink and the flowers and the, like, matcha latte, which I'm actually like ironically drinking. I'm actually drinking the but tell me, what's the soft girl era?
To be honest, we're just really discovering this ourselves right now. So we can't give you a definitive answer, but to me personally, it means not a stressed out boss babe, because we're all taught from.
Boss,
I feel like it's a
right?
millennial thing. We're taught to we're meant to be hustling all the time,
Yeah,
busy all the time.
boss bitch, like the whole time. But if we want to be soft girl era but still be successful business owners and investors, for us the biggest shift was um, learning to cycle our menstrual cycle with how we work, which we never used to do. And it was the simplest thing that we never thought, oh, actually, why are we not doing this? Isn't this is how women should work? Because if we keep punishing ourselves for not being effective, if we've got brain fog because we're on a period, but we continue to punish ourselves that we're not doing enough. But that was the first thing that we changed, wasn't it, Becky?
Yeah,
I noticed that. So, but that's a very good point. I just thought, oh, okay. So, obviously, we're calling it soft girl because it's not just about working around your period. There's other elements to it, right? I imagine it's something to do with like, knowing your boundaries and not having to like take it all on and not having to say yes to everything and not having to be so like aggressive. Like, I never really subscribe. Oh my God, that's such a lie. I literally look what's on my desk. Look what's on my desk. This is so weird. Like, this says, who bought me this? I don't know. I don't know if I bought it for myself, but for anyone listening, it says business bitch energy. I don't think that's I don't think that's true. I don't think I am
But I
I
feel
don't
like
think
we're
I am a
conditioned
business
to think
bitch.
that's the only way. We're conditioned because it
Yeah.
was such a masculine. It's so masculine to be in business and investing, but
Yeah,
that's
I definitely
evolved
feel,
now.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
why can't we be soft in how we do it and still be successful?
I think it's we also with this sort of approach, the way that we've been sort of encouraged to operate as women in business to keep up with the masculine energy, it's just led to us existing with high cortisol.
Yeah,
I'm stressed all the time. I'm tired all the time because like Ruth mentioned, our energy isn't consistent like that, and it's just you're at war with yourself, and then still feeling like you're not good enough the whole time, or you're not doing enough. the whole
I
time,
mean,
or
you're
something's
comparing
lagging.
yourself to more people who seem to be doing more, but we all have different ways of working as well, and but you still keep being in comparison of, am I a good enough business owner? Am I a good enough investor just because other people look like they're doing more?
Girls, I've gone down a rabbit hole here on Google right now. I'm on Pinterest. I'm gonna redecorate my house in a minute to like match that soft girl era vibe. Like for anyone who is more interested in this, I literally just typed in like soft girl era, and there's like a soft girl era prayer. There's like a coloring book. There's so much stuff. I think I'm just going to totally go out with it. I think I'm going to really struggle to market myself or go out there and be like, I'm this like soft girl era life, because I am in a man's world, as much as I don't want to say that I am. But, property and finance and mortgages and investing, like it's so, and a lot of my clients are men. So I feel like what I do have this side to me that's like, does this client feel right, and do I want to work with them regardless of the money? And then I'm able to make like emotive decisions based on like my energy and my vibes. So I think that's where I get my soft girl era vibe. I
Mm.
think I know how to trust my gut. Like I think that's definitely a soft girl era, if we want to call it that. Like that's definitely a feminine trait, isn't it? It's definitely a feminine energy where we can have an intuition and not follow it, or follow it because we're like, actually that doesn't feel right. But then we're running a business and you're thinking about the finances, aren't you? And you're like, but I could do with that deal, or I could do with that. I know that's more work, but if I can just get that done, then on the other side, right?
Yeah.
So how are you doing that?
I think I
How are you
think
approaching that in property?
I think there's a when we try and work in a masculine state, we're trying to compete as well in a masculine state. And there was a book called, I think it's called Chimp Paradox.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and it makes me feel like we all end up being like that. We're all banging our chests trying to be like, no, more, 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 more. Let's just put it in. I need that deal. I need that property. I need to, just kind of continue want more, but it's also accepting like, why are you doing this in the first place? If it's for us, it was time and location freedom. How much is enough?
Yeah, how much is
Can you
enough is
do
very feminine of going. 'Cause I think it's always like scale, 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 but actually look at your plan. What is enough? It's like we would talk
what's
about this
important
all the
to
time. How
you?
many properties do we need?
Yeah.
How many properties do we
Yeah,
need?
so on that question, everyone's, oh my God, that scale question. I've never asked a woman how you're going to scale. Like, that's not a question. I asked them first, or even a man, I'm like, what's the highlight in your business this year? What have you enjoyed the most? What's your next plan? Like, what else do you want to work on? But I always get that question from a man, how are you going to scale? And I don't actually think I think they think this question sounds cool, because I don't think they actually know what that means. Because I'm like, but what does that mean when you say how you're going to scale? Scalability is in so many different formats. It can be,
Mm,
I work less but earn more. Do you think that scalability is like, I always think that people ask me that because they think I am trying to work towards a goal of me getting an office in Mayfair or Bond Street, and I'm like, I never want to scale to that level.
yeah,
It doesn't align with my energy of trying to be a big boss in the city. Like, I couldn't think of anything worse, which is why I did that video lately on social media about me working in a shed. And I was like, not every successful business owner has got a Mayfair or Bond Street postcode. That's not my energy.
no, you pay for that postcode virtually.
Yeah,
That's what
exactly.
most people do.
Well, I have to for security reasons, because I'm famous and I have loads of fans. So for security reasons, I have to have a different address. I can't actually have my shed and my home as my address. So
Yeah,
I've had to
same.
pay for an EC postcode or
Mm,
something like that, which is like a PO box. But that's just for public, security reasons, not because I want to appear that I work in Mayfair. So I specifically chose not to have like a Mayfair postcode, because I just didn't want that connotation.
yeah.
So tell me, what have you changed and how have you shifted your energies? What are you doing practically speaking so that we can see this, soft girl era in you?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
So we're going through our new transition right now. We're portfolio planning currently, and that means essentially we were hustling hard in our 20s, and we've reached a point where our properties are at a place where we can essentially be very much, we did a post on this recently, work optional. We quite like the word work optional as opposed to retired, because that just because you've got a livable passive income doesn't mean that you just don't do anything. Like, we still enjoy work, we still love business, but we want it to be in a state of, a relaxed nervous system. Like, I want to enjoy what I do without the pressure. That's the whole reason we got into investing. So now we're at a point where we're just rejigging our portfolio. So it's like, okay, how much do we really need? How much is enough? Do we need to scale? Are we happy where we are? Are we in a rush? We're not. So I think that's the phase we're at right now. We're like, actually, it doesn't take much to make me very happy.
Okay, question.
Hmm.
Like, because I see a lot of people like being like, oh, I'm a six-figure business owner, I'm a seven-figure business owner, and then when they get there, they're like, chill out, calm down. I'm like, yeah, but is it because you got there though? Is it because you've just said you hustled in your 20s?
Hmm.
Could it be that you did that hustle and you have to invest in that hustle time for a period of time so that you can earn your soft girl era? Do you think you could have got to where you are with just being a soft girl era person?
If I was to give, I don't know if you agree with me, Ruth, but if I was to give ourselves, like, give advice to our 20-year-old versions again, there's definitely a way that you can grow this wealth sustainably without the burnout.
Yeah.
But at the time that we did it, when we were hustling, it's because we were navigating everything by ourselves. We didn't have a community. We didn't have anybody who was role modeling this sort of more, I guess, healthy approach to
Yeah.
growing a business.
Yeah.
All we had at the time for most millennials was just the guys who did it before us. It's only really recently that there's a lot more women in business now, a lot more women investors. So if I was to give a 20-year-old version of ourselves advice, it would be, there is a way to do this sustainably without hurting yourself. But yes, you do have to put in the
I
work
do
first.
agree. I do agree without hurting yourself, but I've got a 25-year-old cousin, and she obviously, I'm 35, so 10-year difference, right? And I'm like her sister. We are like sisters. We spend we spend a lot of time together. And I literally, when you say that advice to my younger self, it's like
Mm.
she is my younger self. So I kind of get to give her that advice every day. And actually, I've noticed, because when I was looking at soft girl era, it's a movement that's come out of like Gen Zs blending in with millennials. And then like Gen Zs have taught us so much. They're learning from
Mm.
millennials. Gen Zs are bringing something in, and that ebb and flow is beautiful within our work environment. But quite honestly, when I speak to Ellie, I'm like, Ellie, get over it, put in the work. I don't like, she's like, the work environment's so toxic. I'm like, no, it's not toxic. It's called work. It's not toxic. The word toxic is so overused with Gen Zs. And it's like, oh, but I know my worth. I'm like, which one worth? I'm like, you just come out of uni. Who do you think you are? You've just come out of uni. You need to put in the reps. So suck it up. You work for, so because I'm also thinking, you work for this guy or person, not her, but whoever's working for. They've started a business, and I'm compassionate now as a business owner. I'm like, who are you to come out of uni, come and tell me what to do with my business, and I'm paying you for the privilege. Like, I'm paying you to. Do you know what I mean? Where are you at with that? Because
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah. So
like, yeah,
we're in the same. I'm 35 in July.
yeah.
So
Because
we're
we
in
were
the
talking
same.
about going to uni at the same time, and
Yes,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah, so I totally agree. There's so much we can learn from Gen Z, and it blends in with what's happened now, what's happened in the past, and it's just picking what's right for you. But I totally agree. Yeah, work hard,
I
be smart.
I want to say I do believe though with Gen Z there is an element, maybe because we're more exposed to the internet. I don't remember having a smartphone until I was at probably university. So we
yeah.
are so
Mm,
exposed, and I think it's amazing that from what you said that Gen Zs do know their worth, but you do need to put the time in and you have to make sacrifices in the beginning. It's exactly what I did, but I like that they already know that how can I make how can I maximize this to make an income from it without overstretching. They're already thinking Like that's more than what we were thinking back then. We were just like sacrifice
True,
everything,
true.
sacrifice friends, sacrifice, because that was the generation before telling us how to do business.
Very true. Very true. So I do like the fact that they've understood what a boundary is. In fact, I've got a TikTok channel dedicated to things I didn't learn in school that I wish I would have learned. So it's things like emotional intelligence, how to deal with stress and burnout, how to sell yourself, how to sell in general. Like selling is such a big thing, but you don't get taught that in school. You then go out anyway. And one of those things is talking about how, like, I had a really big topic on TikTok about I don't believe Gen Z should work from home.
I agree,
Ooh.
actually. I think you
Yes.
need to get out into the world and you earn that. Otherwise,
How are
like,
you
where
going
are
to
you
learn?
earning
Like, so,
those from?
well, yeah, exactly. So let's say this is my bedroom where I used to do my GCSEs. Yeah. Then I went to uni and I come back home and I'm back in my bedroom where I used to do my GCSEs. And now I've got a corporate job. What is this room going to teach me? Like, who's in this room? I don't know. That's my bold belief that when I started working, I was like, I want to absorb everything. I was like, I'm going to copy the smartest person in the room. I'm going to copy the most successful person in the room. I'm going to listen to what they're doing. I'm going to listen to how they're handling objections. I'm going to listen. I'm listening every day. But if it's about my home, I'm like, I see like Gen Z's creating content, like me sitting at home, like dancing to music. I'm like, yeah, you're going to be stuck there, babe. Like you're going to be there for a long time.
It's
I bet.
interesting. Have you listened to? There's a podcast, Diary of a CEO, with Daniel Priestley and Gary's Economics that I listened to only last night. So it was really
I love
interesting. It
Daniel
was,
Priestley, but I haven't
oh
seen that
yeah,
episode yet.
recommend it. It's quite long, but it was
It's
very
worth a
worth a
watch.
listen. And it's like, I guess the topic of today of software era is like, it's a blending. It's us learning from every single generation and adapting to what the economy is now. And it is very remote. And that's where jobs are going to be. So I'm kind of like, I'm being a little bit of devil's advocate here because it's like
Fine,
you
it's
have,
fine. Your opinion's welcome here.
yeah, just because you do have to just know what is in demand now. And for the most part, a lot of successful business is a digital business in tech or finance.
I mean, yeah, if you
Um,
follow that industry, for sure.
yeah. So
I'm
I
just
think it's
thinking,
just
like, I'd
knowing
hate to
what.
come,
Carry on.
and then a boss just says, like, okay, you're working from home. And then I'm like, oh my God, what, like, I remember what it was like to learn a job. Like, when I was on the job and I was like there all day, I was like, what am I supposed to be doing? Am I doing this right? Am I not doing it right? So I just think sometimes maybe like, so my cousin now, so she had her first job from
Mm.
graduating. She got a job working in the office and she was like, that's just not how it is right now. Like everyone's working from home. I'm like, everyone who's working from home is like 50 years old or like 40. So they've been in the workplace before. They've already got the tech, and now suddenly the pandemic has changed the way we're working. So we've all just suddenly been told to work from home. But we've done years of working in the office. You've now come out of
Mm.
uni and you're like, why am I not working from home? I'm like, because your boss doesn't know who you are, doesn't know what you're like. So they want to also do the induction and train you on the job. So she had her work in the office and she was learning loads. Then she now got another job and it was hybrid. And she was like, her work started to be sloppy. She was starting to get isolated. She was like, I miss that. But, you know, and now she's gone back into another job working full time in the office. She goes, in 1 week that I've been in that job, I've learned more than the job that I had for 2 years prior. Because she's now like been sent to the Nottingham office, the London office. They've actually even got a New York office. So she's like, I can't wait to be thrown into. So it's just, it
Yeah.
is how you take it, it is how you balance it. And I agree with both Ruth and Rebecca, but I agree with both of you. I just think I would hate to come out of uni today and be locked in at home waiting for my boss to be like, do this.
I think there's like you
Yeah.
can be very efficient, but really the thing that's missing is the social connection, isn't it? So if there's a way that Gen Zs are be able to, if they, I just think maybe the evolution might be more opportunity to work from home, but to be able to have more community in person events or like on Zoom, but nothing really
Oh.
together,
Hmm.
coming together in real life. So I wonder if there will be like a new way of globally, if you work for like a global business, you meet in Mexico, for instance, and everyone comes to that conference to actually meet. And it's like
Okay.
regularly
Yeah.
throughout the
Wow.
year.
Okay. That'd be awesome. But on that topic, the reason I reacted like, oh, is again my opinionated point of view is I don't think you should go out drinking with your colleagues.
Ooh. You
Ooh.
know what? This is really hard for Ruth and I to actually have that much of an opinion on because we've always been self-employed and working from home. So I guess we are the example of like the people who
Yeah.
never actually joined the workforce.
But we
So
watched our
it,
parents work in a different industry. So that was our workforce. We had a collective
yeah.
where we were all
Oh yeah.
working. And we would have to proactively put ourselves into, to socialize with other people who were in the same industries. But we are so used to working from like in a household growing up where everyone was doing multiple businesses. So we just saw that and that was our normal.
And when we weren't investing, we were starting another business, which did mean we had to physically be out there, talk to our clients, talk to our customers, do the job. So in that respect, yeah, we had to very much be very proactive physically and mentally on making that business work. So I think, yeah, absolutely work hard in your 20s, but I think there is like working smart, and if there's a way to work smart so that you're not overstepping your boundaries, and then you can reap the rewards once you have built up your financial literacy 10 years later, which is better than when you're in your 60s.
But also,
Then you,
I was going to say, it's not even about exactly what you know either. It's who you know. So as long as you're making sure
mm,
you network with people that are, you're all going to be able to improve each other's businesses and lives. I don't think people necessarily need to work in an office space and like hang around a water cooler and get to know each other when you can be a bit more mindful of who you're picking to associate yourself with.
Exactly.
mm,
Exactly that. That's why I was saying I don't think you should go out drinking with your colleagues. So when Gen Z are saying, "Oh, I want a job where there's like beers in the fridge for Fridays at 5 p.m. and then there's like a snooker table in the middle of the room," I'm like, those are carrots and mice trap to keep you locked into that office.
Mm.
Those beers are enticing you to stay later on a Friday. That snooker table is enticing you to get a hit of dopamine. That's the psychology. Like, the slide in the middle of the office, like that's not going to help you hit your target. It's just going to give you that dopamine hit. They give you enough benefits and perks to make you think, oh my God, they look after me here.
Mm.
No, that's so what I think you should be doing, like Bruce just said, and Becky, I know you agree, is if you're working a 9 to 5 job, and you're working full time, rather than spending Thursday nights, Friday nights drinking with your existing colleagues and staying within your existing circle, I used to go out. Do you remember the network marketing days?
Yeah.
I'd get on a train, right? So after my 9 to 5 job, I'd get on a train and I'd go to a networking event because I'd be wanting to immerse myself in an
Mm.
audience, in a group of people that were not in my office all day, because that's you're only the result of the people you hang around most with, right? You're only the average of the 5 people. So if I'm spending all day with my office colleagues, what's the point of going out in Liverpool Street to drink with them now? I'll be like, you've taught me everything I need to know today.
Yeah.
I need to go and expand my horizons. That's my
I
opinion,
think all
but
Gen Zs
obviously
should do some form of network
networking.
marketing because that was so
yeah,
Oh my
right.
God,
yeah.
yes.
We,
I know we
if
talked
you,
about this before, but like it
yeah,
really, that was like the best thing I ever did.
yeah.
Tell me, Becky. Yeah, go for it.
Oh, I was just gonna say, we touched on this on Rosalia's episode on our podcast. That was like the best reaction we ever had on the podcast, realizing we'd all done this network marketing. But yeah, I'm just concurring. Like you just meet so many types of ambitious women. On the other hand, because I always like to be a bit of devil's advocate for everything, it was quite intense.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm sure, like I think it's just do it mindfully. Um, it was a great experience. You'll learn a lot, but it's like respecting your feminine side and what you're doing it all for to begin with. Like you don't need to be what's the top level, like VP or something.
Oh
No, I
yeah, the
can't remember.
MVP.
MVP. Maybe you don't need to be MVP.
Why I pulled away. That's why I pulled away, because I remember fighting for the title, and I remember
Mm.
aggressively just trying to build my business because I wanted a title. And I was like, actually, after 5 years, I was like, the biggest thing I got out of it is my mindset, my self-development, my community, and my resilience. Those are the biggest takeaways from having run a network marketing franchise or business. But I thought I wanted the car, the title, the money, and the pedestal. And I actually just remember thinking,
Do you
it's
think
not
that was
right.
like a male approach? Because the business is
Yeah.
owned by a guy.
Oh, I see. Yeah, the hierarchy of it.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
it's like the model of it. But then because so many women, okay, yes, it wasn't male run originated company, but the highest people in my upline were women.
Yeah, but I think it was very much aimed at women to do this business, but the approach was like a masculine approach. Like, yeah.
Well, that's why I pulled away, because I do remember, I didn't label it as that, but I remember just thinking, I'm obsessed with doing something rather than attracting something that feels right. And I had to let that go. And it took me 5 years. But don't get me wrong, girls, like I know I talk about like I'm probably more on the masculine energy than I have been, maybe because I haven't had that maternal instinct have to kick in yet. I haven't got a family. It is all about me and my career, my husband, and getting on the property ladder and investing in property. And it feels like running a business, investing in property are quite male
Mm.
orientated activities.
Mm.
Yes,
I would
so
say,
yeah.
honestly, I have a 3.5-year-old now. And I definitely say when I got pregnant, I didn't think anything would change. I was naive and I was scared. But I think I've mentioned this before in one of our Becky and my podcasts, is that when you have a kid, you don't realize how much your life is going to change and you have to do business differently. That's why we also went so far into soft girl, because I felt like I was cheating on our business. I felt like I was cheating on our tenants. Like you cannot be 100%. We talked about this morning, actually, just 100% in both things. And that was that, especially when you come from like a high achieving want, and like that's always been drilled into you to be like high achievers. It's so um exhausting mentally to feel like in the beginning you're failing at both, because you just
I think also,
yeah, sorry, Becky.
also just as a child-free person too, I didn't realize until Ruth did get pregnant that if I carried on the way that I was going, and I suffered burnout at least a couple of times,
Yeah.
that my life was just going to keep looking like this endless running, like endless chasing for something, endless exhaustion. I was tired. I was just like,
It's never
just I
enough.
was
It's never enough.
so inspired and wanting everything, and then I wouldn't have known when enough was enough.
Yeah.
That is so like so true. I mean, I've been in emotional, like I literally just had a chat with a coach this morning, because I was like, I feel so emotionally available to everybody. I'm there all the time. I feel like I feel like a Tesla charging port. Like I'm just there,
Yeah.
and you can come and load up anytime you like literally just come and take the energy. And I'm very much, the coach said that I'm very much in a we energy, where when I work with people, clients, I'm like we like win-win situation. Whereas I've the reason I've been feeling so entirely burnt out and exhausted is because the person I'm dealing with is in an I energy. So
Mm.
they're constant, yeah. Because when I was describing to her a couple of situations that have like robbed me of sleep and made me feel quite sick over the weekends, at times, and I'm like, what is happening? I'm like, how am I, like, with what, and I'm always like, with what I've done for them and how much I've done this, and and I'm like, how could they do this to me? Like, how could they, and she was like, yeah, they were never there with you, babe. Like, they were never with the we. You thought you were doing this together. You let them have all this. You da 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 da. And then I was like, and then like what the other day I spoke up, and like I didn't realize I was doing this, but I just you know, casual conversation, and then I was asked about something, and then I said, oh no, I can't quite do that because of the, and so I respected a boundary that I'd set, and that person did not take it well. They were like, oh, Roz isn't giving us like what we always get, you know? So sometimes it's like speaking up your truth, and then it makes you doubt yourself. You're like, did I hurt that person? Like, I didn't mean to. I just said I can't do that. Like, yeah.
I feel
So
that. I think with us, it's having had loads of clients and loads of tenants and then lots of management, and there's just so like we just acquired so many
And
individuals, um,
responsibilities.
and responsibilities.
Like,
It
just
was like we had high expectations on absolutely everybody to want everyone to win, like you're saying. Like we want everyone to work and do what we're supposed to do and not have conflict, or just not be disappointed if someone didn't do what they were meant to do. And I think part of that soft girl era that we're going through is just we've cut out so much. People management is such work. It's such work. We love helping people, but if you can manage the people who are like directly in your business to not be like, you don't want to, like, delegation's good, but you don't want to over delegate or like over extend yourself to people, even as a client. Um, yeah, it brings so much more peace
But it's also
because
keeping
we'll,
things simple. Like we've spent two
yeah.
years trying to simplify things so that every process is not easy, but just makes it as easy to understand so that if we weren't to do it, then it means that someone else can take over. The more we've complicated our life, the more that it took away from every joy that we loved about living. And that sounds really, but it's true. Every time we've complicated everything, it's taken away our time with our family. It's taken away time with like friendships that matter. And we're like, what on earth? Like what? Oh, taking time away from me and my son. Like I don't want to regret um living a life and all I did was on my gravestone it says I was a workaholic, you know?
I know, I know. But then if that was your era, so I'm also trying to honor that version of me though, because I'm thinking that is who I am right now. Like,
There's
I don't
seasons.
know. Yeah, this is my season. My season is I'm going to harvest, harvest, harvest. Like that's what I'm doing. Or I'm sowing the seeds, and then when the time comes to harvest and reap the rewards, I will. And then there'll come another season where it's like, oh, the weather's been a bit rubbish lately, so we're not going to reap. Like that's what farmers do. Like the farmers have to, like, some seasons it's like laid on a plate for them. They're like, this is all your crop, and then other seasons like, oh dear, we need to do something else. We might need to change the soil. We might need to do something because it's not working. And so I am also, and whoever's listening to this, I know many like career ambitious and very like super into their like hustle energy, and like that's fine. That's your energy right now. That's, you need to honor it. You need to enjoy it whilst you want to. And then if like something doesn't feel right, it's kind of blending that. It's the yin and yang, right? You've got to do both, and blend them together. I knew I'd run out of time. I knew I would. I stopped checking the time a long time ago because I was so into the conversation. So apologies for keeping you ladies longer than planned. So I will have to wrap it up here. But just really quickly, where can we find you? Because I know that people will want to follow your journey and how you're doing it.
Oh, we would love to carry on. If anyone wants to keep discussing this in the DMs, send us a DM because this is like a recent conversation that we've been having a lot recently. But you can find us on Instagram at Honest Property Sisters. We also have a podcast called Honest Property Podcast. You can
Yeah, I
find
love
that
it.
on where we spill the tea on all things holistic entrepreneurship and property investing. And there is a website, honestpropertysisters.com, but nobody really goes to websites that much.
So we'll share everything in our
Yeah.
show notes, because honestly, the content, ladies and gents, whoever's listening, everybody, the content is lit. Like it's so on fire with all their like behind the scenes and with what they're doing with the podcast. And like I get inspired when people are tapping into that. It is that balance that I need in my life. It's really, really is. So I literally get so much from watching you ladies just enjoy yourselves with a smile and have like, the fun behind the business. So thank you for always being that kind of joy to watch. So I really appreciate it. And so for everybody who's been here, thank you once again for tuning in and for being a loyal listener. If you are loyal and subscribed, thank you. But if you're new here, please do click that subscribe button, because I want to keep growing this channel. It is a free opportunity. It's a free running podcast. We have guests on for free because we want to highlight the talent and the voices of this industry. So please help make that happen and show us that it's worth it by sharing the news, by spreading the news. So thank you for being here, and I'll see you on the next show.